Oh man, what's happening, everybody? Give me a second, I'll be right back. Talk about this thing. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Everybody, clap your hands. This is the girl that I want you to know, and these are the breaks. All right, it's a little bit better. Hey guys, what's going on? Just kind of getting organized in here. So today, listen, I'm talking about the Jeffrey Epstein. Talk about what's up, Bunch? My man Bunch on here. Appreciate you coming over, Bunch. I didn't post this on Instagram that I was going to be going live here, so I just decided to come on and give a live on YouTube today. So I'm glad you joining. What you got going on over there, brother? Yeah. Let's see. Start a Q&A. What are your thoughts? List. I'm trying to get this Epstein list. We go today for you guys who are just joining. We're talking about the Epstein list, and also everything that's going on with the Epstein case and the disparity between what was charged in the Epstein case and what was charged in the Diddy case. But more importantly, where are these files, and do these files exist? Do you believe that they exist? Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein unalived himself? Or do you believe that there was something more nefarious behind his death? So, you know, one of the reasons that I decided to talk about the Epstein case is because of the recent drama that's going on with the case right now. And simply, the Department of Justice, or the DOJ, if you will, has said that Jeffrey Epstein had unalived himself. And then they introduced a video from the MDC Center in Brooklyn to say this is the video that proves that he did not unalive himself. Now, there was two things wrong with that video. The first thing was wrong with the video. I want to do a poll on here, so I'm going to do instead of doing a question, I'm going to take this down, and I'm going to ask a poll instead. Did Jeffrey Epstein really unalive himself, or did someone help him unalive himself? And the belief is that he did not unalive himself. The video that the government introduced as evidence that nobody did anything to him, that this was a self-inflicted wound, is the video is missing a minute. So it goes from 11:58 and 58 seconds, and it loses a minute and 2 seconds in just that fast, right? And so Pam Bondi, who is the U.S. Attorney General, said that every day that the video loses a minute, it resets itself and it loses a minute. Now, I mean, I could go with that. I mean, we can go with that if you want to stretch it and just say, okay, let me give the government the benefit of the doubt. But if the government, that is the government's position, then I believe that the government should show videos from the last 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or just small clips of where all of these 1 minutes are missing. But they won't be able to do that. Now, so I'm going to talk about this whole Jeffrey Epstein case and kind of put it into light for you guys. And hi, Sandra. And I'm going to put this poll up here while I'm asking this question. Did Epstein unalive? Because you can't say certain words on here because it will censor you and, you know, mess up your, will mess up, but sometimes it'll kick you off live. Unalive himself. Okay, that is the poll question for tonight. All right, so these guys, I want by the end of this, we're going to figure out how many people said yes and how many people said no. All right, so did Jeffrey Epstein unalive himself? So I'm going to go back to this whole Jeffrey Epstein case and P. Diddy case. Now, what we realize is that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked over 250 underage women. Sean P. Diddy Combs allegedly, well, they kind of proved it in a court of law that he trafficked two women, both Cassie and Jane. And Jane is Daphne Joy, which is 50 Cent's baby mother. And I think everybody knows that now. So Jeffrey Epstein trafficked 250 underage women. That is more than Pimpin' Ken and Bishop Don Magic Wand put together. And as far as I know, those guys were never charged with trafficking underage women. They were just pimps and they trafficked women. But I don't think they were ever held accountable to this status or statute where Diddy and Epstein has been held. So 250 women. Now, when Epstein was arrested, he was also arrested with Ghislaine Maxwell, which is supposed to be his co-conspirator in this case. She was supposed to recruit and help transport and set up all of the transportation and hotels and the client list and all of that good stuff. Now, Ghislaine is also called Giselle Maxwell, just in case you heard two different names for her, but it's one and the same person. So she was also tried and she was convicted, and now she has, I think today was supposed to be, she was put in an appeal from the government to be released or have the charges dropped or something like that, or to be retried. But now people were wondering, how was Diddy charging a RICO, which means racketeering, running a continuous enterprise, by himself? How was he the only person charged in the racketeering? So it comes down to, I believe what the government thought they had was a slam dunk case on Diddy, and they felt like if they could convict Diddy, the rest of them would fall like a house of cards. Well, that didn't work out, and some people are saying, did they even have did they even intend to convict him on his RICO charge, or were they trying to teach Sean P. Diddy Combs a lesson because he was an arrogant black man, and also to diminish everything that he's done by taking away his corporate businesses and his livelihood, his homes, his plane, and all of his money. So when people look at this, they look at it from two perspectives, especially us as black people. We say, okay, now they're trying to tear a black man down. I get it. I get it. So I wasn't of that opinion at first. What I felt, because I have two daughters, I have a mother, wife, I got all of that stuff going on. So I'm thinking on the behalf of the women. I'm saying, well, yeah, okay, that sounds good. But this man did this to these women. He gave these women drugs. You got people coming in to testify that the man gave the women drugs. The women said that they were kind of social drug users, and they use like marijuana for the most part. And then he introduced them to cocaine, ecstasy, ketamine, and a whole cocktail of other drugs, and not only the drugs, but the lifestyle, which could also become a drug. So a lot of women, the women that I was talking to at the courthouse, they were saying, well, listen, 70% of the women, I think it was like 70% versus 30. The men were saying that Diddy was guilty. We were all Diddy is guilty. The women was like, no. So I asked one woman in particular, I said, hey, why do you say that Diddy isn't, why you say that he's innocent? And she said, because I'm a woman and I know how women are. And I said, wow. So, I started thinking about that, and I said, well, it's possible that Cassie came to take advantage of Diddy, Jane or Daphne came to take advantage of Diddy, and he had an alternative motive or ulterior motive, and he ended up being the one who had the last laugh because he took advantage of them. And it's also likely you could kind of paint the picture or say that okay, for the first time for Cassie or Daphne, that this was an experience. So he said, hey, this is my lifestyle and this is how I roll. If you want to get down, then this is what you got to do. I'm pretty sure that's how it started out. And as I started to, after the trial, because for you all who are watching who don't know, I was actually sitting in the trial. It was a rewarding experience. It was a strange experience. And I met a lot of people with a lot of different perspectives on this case. So to hear the prosecution give their case, then the defense come back and give their case, and then the prosecution come back with a rebuttal, I was totally confused because for you, those of you who know me, I am a retired law enforcement officer. So one, I have daughters and a mom and women in my life that I wish not to become a victim of this type of behavior or crime. But two, so that put me on the side of the prosecution. And two, I was a law enforcement person, so I'm a pro prosecution person anyway. But people would get mad as you later start to change your position. Once you hear both sides of the case, the media, you can't end up changing your position. The media is only giving you one side of the case, and media is called spin and propaganda. So if you listen to this stuff, you're saying, yeah, man, this man is guilty of it. And I gotta be honest, I'm still pro prosecution, but when I heard the case and I heard the facts, it seemed like a very trumped up case against, quote unquote, a black man to tear down his legacy and take everything that he had. Now, we had the court of law and we had the court of public opinion. Was Diddy guilty for the things he did? The things that he did, they convicted him of, and that was 2 counts of transportation for prostitution for both Jane and Cassie. That could have been tried in a state court, and we could have saved the government $40 or $50 million. And also, just understanding that Diddy also had to spend a significant amount of money to defend himself, to the tune of over $200,000 a day from the time the court case started. And that, and that also equaled up to about $40 million. And just remember, somewhere between $40 and $60 million. And also remember that he didn't start paying when the court case started. He started paying when the Homeland Security and the FBI and all of those people went to his homes and raided his offices and all those things. That's when he started paying for the lawyers. So he could be well over the number that I'm giving you guys. So yes, he spent a significant amount of money to defend himself. And I do want to go back to what he did, guilty. Yes, I believe the divided jury, or the jury was in a unanimous decision that he was guilty on 2 and innocent of 3. They couldn't prove the 3, and I don't think also the prosecution proved it 3. So that was also reflected in the court of public opinion. The people who saw this also believed that he was guilty of the crimes he was convicted of. So to the point that, was this even necessary? And also, what was the message that they were trying to send to Diddy? So I'm still divided. I still feel like he committed the crimes. By the court of law, if when I'm listening to it, because I'm listening with that law enforcement ear, when I'm listening to the charges, I'm saying, yeah, they're going to convict him of that, because everything that they said he did met the statute of the crime of RICO, X-trafficking, I can't say the word, X-trafficking, and also it met the statutes of the RICO, the X-trafficking, the transportation for prostitution, and what was the other one? He blew up the car, these things that he did, and the distribution of narcotics. Now, this was funny because when I was a law enforcement officer, if you charge somebody with distribution of narcotics, you at least had to have the narcotics. The only narcotics that they got, that charge should have been possession, because they found it in his hotel in his personal belongings, and only proof that he distributed something to anyone was the witnesses who came and said, yeah, I bought this and I gave it to Diddy, and then the victim saying, or quote unquote victim saying that, yeah, he gave me this narcotic. But there was never any proof. This is like circumstantial evidence, and most of the case was circumstantial evidence, and it doesn't amount to a RICO case and the charges that they charged him with. And it was very ironic to me that Daphne Joy that Diddy was paying for her lawyer, and she's still living in the house that he's paying for. In fact, Mark Agnifilo, Diddy's lead attorney, said this. He says, I don't know what Daphne Joy is doing, but whatever she's doing, she's somewhere in the house that he's paying for. Now, this isn't no regular house. I live in a decent house. My house note is $2,500. Her house note is 4 times the amount that I pay for my house note, at $10,000. And I just saw a recent video of her on one of these platforms on a shopping trip with, designer bags and somebody carrying 4 or 5 bags for her. So she's living a very good life. So it just begs to, why did she do this? And Mark Agnifilo, in his closing argument, said, this is not about no trafficking. This is not about no RICO. This is about love, money, and jealousy. And when you look at it, it kind of all boils down to that. So I'm not saying he's not guilty of something. I believe he beat up Cassie. He should have been in state court for domestic violence. He also beat up Jane. He should have been in state court for domestic violence. If they charged him with drugs, it didn't amount to a RICO charge. It should have been in state court for possession of narcotics because it was small personal use amount. They didn't say, hey, we got a kilo of cocaine or a quarter pound or a pound or 2 pounds of marijuana. They didn't say any of that. They got some ecstasy pills. They didn't say we got, fentanyl and massive loads. They just got some personal stuff, right? So all of this stuff sounds personal, literally personal, but pretty much personal problems. So to charge this man with the things that they charge him with really changed my thinking. Because I was like, hey, send him to jail and bury him. But listening to the case, you guys had to be there to understand what was going on with the government and why they charged this man the way that they charged him. The other part of that is that after, I'm not sure if you all are watching this stuff, so you have all of these guys who are now coming on, the Punisher, Dan, and Greg or Gary, all of these people who they had relations with, relations or whatever you want to call it with, and these people saying, no, that Cassie was actually setting this stuff up, that she actually enjoyed it, that she was a shot caller. And when they started telling their stories, one guy said, we all told the prosecution that, exactly that. We all told the prosecution that she enjoyed it. She called on her own. She set up her own dates away from Diddy, from the same men that she said victimized her or that she was trafficked by or whatever. So, when you start hearing all that, she's like, wow. So who knows why Cassie did what she did? Only that's between her and her God and Diddy. They know. And one of the things that they asked Cassie, do you still love Diddy? And people said, well, she looked at the attorney, she paused for a minute and said she looked like she wanted to say, yeah, but she knew that Alex Fine, her husband, was sitting in the audience and she didn't want to upset him. So she said, I loved our past. I loved our past. So if she loved her past, she can't also hate her past by him. If somebody trafficked you and beat you up and all of this good stuff that she's claiming, how could you love something like that? You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not pro Diddy, but I am pro justice. And I believe what I heard in the trial and then after the trial from all of these people who are now coming from out of the woodworks, and they seem believable. Of course they're on social media platforms getting a paycheck for giving their story, But no matter what the story was, they were going to get the paycheck anyway. And if they really believed that Cassie was a victim, I believe that these people, they seem like men of integrity. They're sex workers, but hey, I believe that they would have told, I believe that they would have stood on the trial and on the stand, or sat on the stand and told the truth. So, you know, that's my opinion of Diddy. So why did they do that? And then here's more important. Do you think, shout out to Go Fuel. I drank this stuff early this morning. Go Fuel, this is a energy drink by NFL Hall of Famer from the San Francisco 49ers, Jerry Rice. He created this drink. I drank this drink, I want to say about 9 o'clock this morning, and I can't go to sleep. I'm not even tired. I mean, it's really good stuff. It's all natural, cordyceps mushrooms, no sugar, and the best thing about it has no crash. And I love this one. I just got this one. They sent me this one. It's called Pineapple Cream Soda. So check that out if you're into energy drinks. They just got this in 1,000 7-Eleven stores. You can buy it online. They also have it on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description if you want to get it and try it out. I guarantee you, if you start drinking Goat Fuel, you won't drink any other energy drink. If you're an energy drink person that drinks energy drinks, okay? And it's empty. I drank this at 9 o'clock, one of them. So I was gonna say, so that's the deal with Diddy. So I'm not pro Diddy. I'm pro justice. I'm glad. I think that it was a win-win. I think Cassie and Jane won. Cassie got her money. Jane still is. Daphne is still getting her home paid for. They got a conviction on the transportation for prostitution, and also Diddy got a win by not facing that RICO charge and all of the other things that they were trying to charge him with. So I think it was a win-win. I think it was fair. I think. And, you know, I think that part was fair, but them charging him like that is the part that I think that was unfair. So then, you know, we could talk about Jeffrey Epstein, because this is the hot topic right now, y'all. Jeffrey Epstein, like I said, he transported internationally 250 underage young ladies. I can't call them women. They were girls. They were little girls that he transported. And they said that Jeffrey Epstein had a list, because everybody who got on that plane, there was a log, and then they said he kept meticulous notes about the people he dealt with. There were government officials, high-power corporate executives. There were foreign politicians, including the prince, and so it goes down the list, and they say all of these people. You heard Clinton, you heard Obama, you heard Trump, and I got to get back to that one. You heard Trump. All of these people were on the plane and had spent significant time with Jeffrey Epstein at one of his mansions, either in South Florida or in New York. So what's going on now is that the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said there was no Epstein list, and for years everybody was saying there's an Epstein list. Ghislaine Maxwell got convicted for her involvement in procuring these young ladies to offer up to these men. Now, who was Jeffrey Epstein giving these 250 young women to? Who? And I think that's the question. And I think that's the reason for the silence. And I think that's the reason that the government is trying to curb what's going on. And as you all know, there was a recent video released by the U.S. DOJ, which is the Department of Justice, which angered the Deputy Director of the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, angered Dan Bongino. Angered Dan Bongino in so much, he said, listen, the tapes ain't right. There's a minute missing from the tape. He said, I don't like the way that Pam Bondi, who was appointed by our now President Donald Trump, I don't like the way that Pam Bondi is handling these files and documents. He's saying that there is a list. He's saying that the list they're not being truthful with the list. He was so angered that he threatened to step down. And President Donald Trump said, no, let him step down. Nobody cares about him. Nobody cares about him. And and then President Trump then starts to defend U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. Why is he defending U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi? More than likely because he put her into the office, and he knows that she's going to cover for him and everybody on that list. Could you imagine if that list came out, the names that came out on that list? I'm going to tell you, let me tell you about Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, you guys remember Steve Bannon from his Donald Trump's previous administration? Steve Bannon, I believe, went to jail. Steve Bannon said that Epstein is the key that picks the lock to everything. Let me say that again. Epstein is the key that picks the lock to everything. And he said, and I'm not just talking about individuals. He said, I am talking about institutions. Hold up now. He said, I am talking about institutions. There's a lot of people involved with this whose name cannot come out. And so that got my wheels turning. Where's that missing minute on that tape? And the tape that was put together, they thought they were getting away with something. But Andrew Garrett, who is a forensic video analyzer, he's a forensic video expert, says, this video ain't right. He said that video is suspect. He said that missing minute should be accounted for. He also said that this is more than likely two videos stitched together to make it look like one. Now, the government was so smart that they put that together and they didn't think that somebody was going to catch the minute that was missing on the video. In fact, it was 1 minute and 2 seconds. So the video went off at 11:58:58, and then it came back on at 12 o'clock. And Pam Bondi's explanation was, oh, every night the camera just resets at 1 minute. It just eliminates a minute, and then it resets at 12 o'clock. Then what the hell is the camera for if it's not going to record the whole thing? And another thing is, when you watch that camera, the one that you believe that was outside of the cell door that people kept coming in and going out, coming in and going out, that wasn't actually the camera. Okay? I mean, that wasn't the actual cell, that door that people were coming in and going out. The cell was downstairs. Now, makes you wonder why they don't, if this is the suicide watch, this is suicide watch wing or whatever they call it, why ain't no camera down there? See, that's the question that we didn't ask. We started asking, where's the minute? The question is, where's that where are those cameras down there? What's so special about that one particular area that they wanted the camera right there and nowhere else? Okay? So let me look and answer a question down here, or a statement that said the files were being held in New York, so I'm sure they're not in the same order than when they were collected originally. Oh, I'm glad you said that. Okay, so back in February, Pam Bondini, they said, was going to release all of the Epstein files. And then she said, well, actually, there is no Epstein list. Well, there is a list, but I haven't looked at it yet. It's on my desk, but I haven't looked at it. You talk about the U.S. Attorney General who has a major case like this is not even looking at the files. They're just sitting on her desk. And wait a minute, why are files that are so sensitive sitting on the U.S. Attorney General's desk? And she only released 200 of the files when there's over 1,000 pages of files. And you can go on the DOJ website, and all the things they have on there are the flight logs. So go out there and check it out. I just put in Pam Bondini releases the Epstein files or Epstein documents or whatever, files or whatever, and it's on the DOJ website. And at the bottom of it, all you'll see is the flight logs. And there's only about 10 of them as I saw. So out of the 200, we're still missing 190 that we haven't even got a chance to look at. So I'm gonna go through what Dan Bongino said. He says, man, he's fed up. He's going to quit. Trump says nobody cares about him. Let him quit. And then He said, I'm going to quit because the way that Pam Bondi is handling this case, and he threatened if she doesn't handle it right, that he's going to torture her. And then one of the person who gave up this information says he's pretty much throwing his career away. And so much that he said that on Thursday, he didn't come to work, and neither did he call to tell the people he wasn't coming. So, I don't know if he's been unalived. I want to hope that ain't the case, because apparently he knows more information. He's the deputy director under Cash Patel. So maybe he knows more information, and he stands on integrity, and people from the U.S. government aren't. So B. Adams says, releasing all the files would destroy it. Yes. Again, Steve Bannon said, Jeffrey Epstein is the key to picks the lock to everything, and not just people, but institutions. You think about this. Institutions. And makes you wonder with Diddy in trial, these guys got the same playbook, man. They had the same playbook. They get these people, they give them drugs, they, take advantage of them, and they have documentation. As Epstein, they say Epstein also had cameras all over his house, took meticulous notes, and then they use this as blackmail material. So when you start hearing names like T.D. Jakes and Donald Trump, and these people were with Diddy. I didn't even talk about with Epstein. These are with Diddy. And you can just imagine the power and influence that Diddy had, his invitee guest list that was at these parties and at his house, and that he has information on. So it makes you wonder. I'm happy, and we still can't be so happy for him, that at some point that Diddy in that same cell or same facility, the MDC, Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, if he doesn't suffer the same fate as Jeffrey Epstein did. So that that kind of worries me. And this is kind of the way that works. So what kind of people? Who do you think was on that list? Who do you think on the Epstein list? Do you really think that Donald Trump was on that list? Hey, thank you for joining, Limu. Yeah. Hey, I'm just gonna say hi to a couple of people. Y'all appreciate that. You think that Donald Trump was on the Epstein list? And the reason I asked that, because his homeboy, who happened to be one of the people that I work for from time to time, came out and said that when he had a very public beef with the Donald, he said Donald Trump is on the Epstein list. And I think that's no secret. I don't know if Elon saw the Epstein list, or if he just put two and two together by Trump hanging out with Donald Trump, that Trump was on the Epstein list. Or do you believe that Elon actually knows something that the American public doesn't know? How many of you guys believe that? Do you believe that Elon knows something that Donald Trump doesn't know, or that the general public doesn't know? Well, it could be Don Jr., and we haven't heard much about him, but I've never seen Don Jr. in any pictures with Jeffrey Epstein. They say at the top levels there are some strange things that's going on, right? Drugs, sex, and rock and roll. If you believe in the QAnon people say that the people at the top level, this is what they do. They do this with younger girls. I don't know what the obsession is with it. I need a grown woman with some experience that I can wrestle around with, break a sweat with. But I don't want to be victimizing some little girl. That's crazy. And some of the stuff goes beyond that. Some of it goes beyond gender. It says little girls, little boys. So, yeah. I do believe that too. B. Adams says that he believes that Elon knows a lot about everything. And I'm of that same opinion that Elon knows a lot about everything. Remember, this man is highly intelligent. He's highly technical. And when I worked with him, I was scared. Once they got out of the car, I was scared to say anything in the car. Even on the phone. I was getting on the phone and talk, but I'm like, okay, this guy knows everything. I'm sure, and it's my car. I'm certain they put something in their car to know my conversations. And so I was, very, very careful when I work with him not to say anything in the car that would get myself in trouble. And then there was also something else that happened at a particular hotel that we were in, and I felt like it was some kind of setup, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe I'll tell that in another story when I retire. But this man they gave a I think he's a U.S. citizen, I don't know, but they gave a non-government employee access to everything, including your social security number, my social security number, my address, your date of birth, my date of birth, your kid's date of birth, your tax record payments. They gave this man access to everything, okay? They gave him access to everything. So let you know that not only he's a clear and present danger to the U.S. government, right? He's a clear, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but this man knows more. He once you get him in, he can kind of move like he wants to. And I'm thinking right about the robots, the robots, right? So okay, if these create these robots, first the robots are they're gonna use the robots for war. And once they put them in war, and then we start using our robots to defeat humans in other countries on the battlefield, and that's effective, where do you think those robots come next? Yep. Suki says, Suki says the President Trump was in the list, and Elon must know a lot of things, but at the same time, he knows that he plays with his business. Larry Bird versus Michael Jordan. My address, yeah, your address is there, your birthday, your social security number, your kids, who you married to, they got all of that. I'm trying to read these comments right at the same time. So I'm putting my glasses on. It says, sup Tyrone, loving the stream, keep it up, brother. All right, I ain't Tyrone, but I appreciate you. My name is Melvin, but you call me Tyrone Maverick. I'm cool with it. Did y'all see the robot in the hood? No, I didn't see the robot in the hood. The movie I, Robot, for sure. If they would bring Ghislaine Maxwell to testify at a House Intel hearing, maybe knock a few years off, since I bet she would spill the beans. Ghislaine wouldn't even make it to the Capitol steps before someone handled that business. Trust me on that. And if she got to the Capitol hearing, she would have to be in a secure government vehicle that was armored, and someone from the military or law enforcement, Secret Service, or State Department would have to walk her in. I don't know how to say how to pan. Most powerful people around the world does that. Kings, sultans, politicians. Yeah. Most of them, I don't know why. Like, it's like, I don't know. I guess they might have little things or something like that, right? Because that's what they said Diddy. They said he had a little tootsie roll. And then some of the guys, the male escort says, one guy said, yeah, when I did my thing, and then he tried to get on here on Cassie and do her thing, he could tell that, he wasn't doing nothing. She could clearly tell the difference. So maybe, I don't know. I ain't a billionaire, but I'm not a politician, so I don't know, how big the packages are, and maybe that has something to do with it. What's up, man? Yo, man, what up? I'm interviewing some people. My question is this. What's your biggest motivation for living? I appreciate that. I'm going to give you the answer to that in 1 second. So somebody has a question for me. I'll tell you now. And his name is Danonin or something like that. So he asked me, what is my question is, what is your biggest motivation for living? My biggest motivation for living is my family. Money doesn't mean anything to me. Material things doesn't mean anything to me. My family is my biggest motivation, but my purpose is to give back to the world, to help people who are trying to grow and find out what their own secret gift is, what their mission is, to find their purpose and to live that purpose out. But my greatest motivation is my family. Just seeing that they grow to be responsible adults and contributing to be responsible parents and then contributing to society. Hold on. Larry, Sandbach Larry, what the F you? Larry, late Larry come in here talking trash. I think, I guess he's talking to me. And you, wish that you came in late, Larry, and came in at the beginning of the conversation so you could understand what the conversation was before you came on here making a fool out of yourself. Or I ain't even gonna say making a fool out of yourself, but revealing to the world that you're a fool. So I was saying, I forgot what I was saying. There are many Diddy's. There are many Diddy's roaming around here. It's just, I guess, whatever fetishes people got. Keep on preaching, Tyrone. You have many words. All right, Maverick called me Tyrone. My name is Melvin, but I'm gonna go with Tyrone for him. Yeah, so that's the true deal. So we were saying that, yeah, Elon probably has a lot of information on a lot of things and a lot of people, and he's a clear and present threat to the government. And the way that the government is handling it is interesting because Trump can't go back at him the way that Elon has been coming at him, but also understanding that Elon, your beef isn't with President Trump. Elon Musk, your beef is with the U.S. government. And the biggest gangsters in the world are the IRS and the CIA. I don't care how bad some of you are on here watching this and, how many guns you got and, how well you can fight and, the things that you would do. You're no type of gangster compared to the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, and the CIA. And if the U.S. government put those people on anybody, it's closed case. It's closed case. It'll be one closed case and possibly closed casket. So, these are here the things that are for you guys who are just coming in. We're talking about the Elon Musk. The Jeffrey Epstein case and the Diddy case, the disparity in the charges and the way that the case was handled. What was the motive behind bringing that case to federal court for Diddy, and also with Jeffrey Epstein, the missing files. Where are these files? We all know they're files. If you cannot believe that this man trafficked 250 women and only deal with high profile people. He ain't hanging around with no people in the hood. He ain't hanging around with people like you and me. He not even hanging around with millionaires. He's hanging around with multi-million and billionaires. Who are these? I know he didn't consume all of these 250 women himself. So somebody had to be in his network, had to be dealing with these women. And to release those files, as Steve Bannon said, is the key. What he said, let me look at it again. Steve Bannon said that Epstein is the key that picks the locks to everything. And he said, not just individuals, but institutions. So this is an institutional problem. So whatever happened to that minute? Whatever happened to that minute? Do you guys believe that was a glitch? It was just a glitch in the camera system? Or that was just a way of explaining it away? Billy Graham, later room. Okay, thank you, Billy. Thank you for coming in and joining, guys. Hey, if you guys like this, can y'all do me a favor? Got quite a few people on here. Can you just help me help this video get the likes on there? I got 30-something people on there. If y'all could just like that button, it won't cost you nothing. You ain't got to pay no money. You don't even have to invest any time or energy. Just hit the like button. It helps me to continue to deliver content like this, help the channel to grow. What I like to do is come back to you guys often and give you solid material that you could, that you can digest, take back to after you get off the live and think about, because these are serious issues that we have in our life. And for them to unalive a man like that, and I'm just straight out saying it, and nobody can say anything about it. Nobody can say anything about it. And I think they showed Diddy that, hey, listen, we gave you a break. You escaped this one. You escaped this one scot-free. Hold on one second. Let me read this question. You guys, please, if y'all can, like, it don't cost you nothing just to click the like button. Do you remember the WikiLeaks with Assange? Elon Musk has all the infos about these people, but now he can't publish it to the public because, no one needs enough, right? No one needs Watergate. And B. Adams says it went down. Yeah. But we'll never know the truth. We'll never know the truth. And if Ghislaine Maxwell gets out and she goes to the hearing, to the Capitol for a hearing, if she's not in a protected armored vehicle, she won't make it to the Capitol. She'll never make that hearing. So I believe the best thing for them to do for Ghislaine is to allow her to stay in jail. That's the best thing for her to do if she wants to stay safe. And I believe because Diddy escaped the RICO and he didn't lose everything, that he walks away with his head, I ain't gonna say head down, maybe his head up, and his mouth zipped. He knows not to say anything because he know what could have happened to him if they convicted him of that RICO. And, it's just a sad state of affairs that we're in. I didn't ask you guys, the people who've been watching, how do y'all feel? Do y'all feel that Diddy should have been convicted of the RICO? Just, you can say if y'all can answer in the comments. Do you feel like he should have been convicted of RICO? Did he really do what the government said that he done? Do you believe that the amount of drugs that he had? Okay, Ron Suki said yes. Sherry Rafa says yes. Yes, okay, all right. Respect. What the drugs too? Well, here's another issue that I had with the Diddy RICO case, right? Why did they didn't send that many people to Jeffrey Epstein's house. They didn't have tanks and people with armored helmets on. When they went to Epstein's house, when they went to Weinstein's house, these guys had on some jackets that said FBI on the back. It was no Homeland Security people. They had just regular windbreakers that said FBI jackets on the back. They had a badge on their belt or on their neck. They had their sidearm, and not even a tactical holster. It was just administrative holster that, if you walk by, you can grab their firearm out and it just fall out to the ground, or you can run away with it. They didn't have any of that. They didn't kick in the door. They didn't throw in flashbangs. They didn't have AR rifles. They just basically went and knocked on the door and confiscated stuff. So, again, are we saying that black men are dangerous, or are they saying, okay, we're going to make an example out of this man in this way? Now, they said Firearms was in there as well. So I'm sitting in the courtroom and I'm listening to this, and what I heard the government, no, not the government, the defense counsel say is that, and about those firearms, the government doesn't even know where the firearms were found. They said this. This is when you start going from preponderance of the evidence to reasonable doubt, like a Jay-Z record, reasonable doubt, right? So they said that the firearms, they don't know who found the firearms or where they were found. I don't know. We got any police officers on this live? Anybody watching this is a police officer? Okay. What they said was that they don't know where the firearms are. He said, the rules about alcohol, no less than, the rules about, right? So Well, I'm just reading comments. I believe, yes, the key witnesses weren't called. Right, the key witnesses weren't called to testify, Bungie. No KK, Christina Corm, no Fahheim, no Uncle Paulie, no D-Rock, and it was several other people who weren't called. But here's the thing, too, I'm going to tell you guys about Fahheim. So they made Fahheim out to be a monster. And I kept saying, you know, it was ringing in my mind that I may know this guy. So I had an opportunity to be in the lunchroom with Diddy's family and his security. Now, this wasn't by, okay, Romy, I'm gonna come back to that point. I'm glad you said that. This wasn't by like design. It was a break in the trial. We were waiting on the judge to decide if he was gonna, the bail hearing for Diddy, if he was going to release him that day, if he was going to prove it and let him go home, or, you know, whatever. So we had a lot of downtime. So I went down to the cafeteria on the 8th floor of the Moynihan Courthouse. And when I got there, Diddy's entire family was there. Justin, Quincy, Chance, Lila, Jesse James, all of them. His mom, all of them. King, all of them were in the cafeteria. And there was a guy in a gray suit. He was a little buff and black shirt, real clean cut, polished guy. And he started walking over to me. And I'm looking at him, and I know he's with the Diddy camp, but I don't know why he's coming over to me. So he comes over to me, and he sticks out his hand. And I stick out my hand and shake his hand. And he said, Fahheim. And I said, oh, shit. This is the infamous Fahheim. So for you all who've been watching my content, if you watched it before the trial, you all always know that I talked about Diddy's security, because security for high-level people is what I do. So I know that if I'm working with somebody and they're committing all of this stuff that they said Diddy did, that the security had to see it. And I knew that the government, well, I thought, because this totally blew my mind. I thought that the government were going to call them as either witnesses or defendants, because you either get it one or two ways. You're going to either be a witness or you're going to be a defendant. And what I realized is that when they didn't call these people, I said, okay, they think they have a slam dunk case on Diddy. So what they're going to do is go for the conviction, and then they're going to come back and they're going to wipe the slate with these other people, KK, Uncle Paulie, Fahheim, and D-Rock. So D-Rock never came. Uncle Paulie never came to the trial. But I met Fahheim. And I can tell you through our conversation that everything they said about that man, I do not believe that could be true. This man was the most clean-cut, polished guy one of the most clean-cut, polished guys that I ever met. Well-spoken, well-manicured, taken care of, firm handshake, very clear vernacular, could speak well, and he said Fahheim. So I'm thinking, okay, now he's mad because he watched my content and he know I was talking about him. And he said, I know you. And I was like, you know me? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, you know, I work with this person, I work with that person in the past. Perhaps I asked him how long he had been doing security, and he said, "Well, I've been doing security with Diddy for 13 years." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Perhaps we crossed paths before, because I used to be Mary J. Blige's bodyguard, you know. But 13 years, I was longer than 13 years ago when I was Mary J. Blige's bodyguard, so that couldn't have been that." He said, "Yeah, I mean that's possible." He said, but I seen you somewhere else. I know you from somewhere else. We talked before. And I said, well, okay. So, and nonetheless, we had a great conversation. I sat down there with you know, I'm gonna say with the family, but near the family. All of the family was very nice. All of his kids, yes sir, no ma'am. You know, to everybody that they encountered. You know, so just kind of to hear the stories about he was involved with his kids was doing stuff. I'm not even sure about that, but I know for sure that what the picture that they painted about Fahheim couldn't have been true. I don't think the man had the moral inaptitude to do the things that they alleged that he did. And I believe that's why none of these people were charged. And also, I'm also thinking that if the prosecution called them, that the defense would have been able to, well, the defense called them, that the prosecution would have been able to cross-examine them. And if the prosecution called them, then they couldn't go after them as co-conspirators in a separate RICO case. So that is, that was my take on all of that stuff. But I want to go back to Fahheim. I mean, not Fahheim, about the firearms that they say that they found in Diddy's house. When they talk about they found these firearms, if in law enforcement, if I come in here and I search this room, right, and we guys, to say we have a whole task force searching the room, and we find something, you're supposed to stop, notify the team, hey, got a 4 rifles in here with sawed off stocks or filed off security numbers. You leave them where they are because there's no exigent circumstances. It's not like somebody's going to pick them up and run away with them. The crime scene search people come in and then they photograph where the stuff was taken from. They photographed the entire room. They would, if the firearm is underneath a bed or underneath a mattress, they lift that up. They take pictures of it. They note the time that it was recovered. They note the officer who it was recovered by. We just don't walk in and say, "Oh yeah, here goes some guns, here goes some cocaine, here go this. Yeah, we're just gonna bring it downstairs." We don't do that. We take all of that stuff, and the crime scene search people note it, photograph it, note who found it, where it was found, and what time it was found. Take pictures, and then they recover it, bag it if they have to, and put it into evidence. So the government not being able to say where these firearms came from, again, introduce reasonable doubt. And reasonable doubt is all you need in a court case to have a not guilty, a not guilty verdict. And Rumsuki said, no camera, no body card, no camera, no body cam was not there. You know they had body cams. They had a drone that was flying around that they were sending into rooms, right? They with video that they were flying into the rooms because they felt like it was dangerous, quote unquote, dangerous to go in there. So they wanted to clear the room with the drone before they sent people in there. You know they had body cams in those on those officers. So, that comes up, did the government trump up evidence? Did somebody bring these guns in there and say, oh yeah, we found these guns? Or did somebody already have these guns from another crime scene or something that they were making sure that we buried this guy? We say we had these guns, but nobody, hundreds of agents and officers from all over coming and searching the place, and nobody can testify to where they found the guns from, but they can testify to where they found all of the other evidence from. And again, for you guys who are watching, I am not pro Diddy. I am pro justice. And I also feel if they didn't get the conviction that they wanted on this one, Diddy's name has also been mentioned in the Tupac homicide, and it also has been mentioned in the Biggie Smalls homicide. So it's possible that they could come back and circle around and get them on something else. But I believe that the government suffered a huge loss. It was a huge embarrassment, a huge waste of money, and I think it didn't call for the way that they handled the case. But when it goes to the Epstein thing, it is another thing that can you trust the government? Do you feel safe with them? Do you believe in what they say? If they can go into a correction center and quote unquote both of the correction officers are asleep when they're supposed to be watching a person on suicide watch, and every 30 minutes on suicide watch, a guard is supposed to go and check on the person in the suicide watch. This didn't happen. They didn't talk about a journal when they did the checks. There's a camera they're showing you that's in one place that's not even a cell, and there should be cameras down on that bottom level, because why not? Why a camera here and not there? Especially on the suicide watch bay where somebody should have been taken account for. So, that is my case. I think we will never, ever see the bottom of this, what happened. We'll never get to the truth of what happened. about this. I don't think the government is that forthcoming. I think there are too many people to protect, and that would topple not only our current commander-in-chief, but it could possibly topple the whole, well, the majority or a good number of people in the U.S. government and people running these corporations. So, you know, that's my personal belief on it. Myself, I think whatever your fetishes is, however you get to that level, I don't know how you get to that level. I think a bit of morality, a huge bit of morality will help us start to change the tides on this, but you can't make people be moral. That you can't do. But you can hold them in the box of being legal, right? And then punish them for being legal. But it's just unfortunate that some people don't get the same punishment. In fact, not only do they not get the same punishment, they don't even get the same pursuit of punishment. Some things people can do, and it's like, okay, let's just make that go away. You know, and then once you get into a position of power, you put other people in there who are indebted to you. And that's one of the 48 laws of power. If you guys haven't read the 48 laws of power, make sure that you do. Make sure you do. It's an amazing book, and it gives you the insight to how people use it to manipulate people and how people use it to get things done in their favor. So if you don't have any questions, if you guys have any topics that you want to talk about in the future, chime back in, you know, because I have a series coming out now. It's gonna be over the next couple of weeks. It's called Money, Power, and Psychopaths. Check it out. Money, Power, and Psychopaths. And the reason I came out with that series is because of this case, these cases that right now that we're talking about. You think about it, these guys got a playbook. They all run the same playbook. The government has the same has a playbook of their own, and all of the cases are run the same. And case in point, the one that I have coming up now, the episode that I'm working on is about the Alexander brothers, wealthy real estate moguls from South Florida. They're in the Miami area, selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate to wealthy people, and they had the same playbook. When you start hearing the case, they went out and recruited women, different than Diddy. Diddy had 2 women that he knew. Epstein had over 250. The Alexander brothers numbers are somewhere near 200 or something like that. But they would go on dating sites. They would meet at public events. They would just be out in public, and they would meet women, and they would have them, excuse me, they would have them come with the promise of trips, luxury experiences, you know, all of those things that come with it. And then they would do the same thing that they're alleging Diddy and some of the other ones with is drugging them, R-aping them, and SX trafficking them. That's what they're alleging them are doing. The Alexander brothers. Now, the Alexander brothers are currently locked up, and I believe they are in the MDC Center as well. But the Alexander brothers will be tried in the same court, the Southern District of New York, same court that Weinstein, Epstein, and Diddy was tried in for the same charges. Their trial is supposed to be, I believe, in January of 2026, and I'm going to be there for that trial. Because they have 3 counts. They're not charged with RICO, even though they had co-conspirators. They didn't charge them with RICO. They just charged them with trafficking and 3 counts of it. Okay, and that's going to be an interesting case because these dudes, we call them the swamp monsters or the Florida monsters. This is what they were doing, and they are going to be tried in that same courtroom, and I will be there in attendance in that trial when it comes. So the Alexander brothers is one. There's another trial going on there too. We're just talking about it. The Harvey Weinstein case is going back and forth. There's another trial. What is the trial that I said I was going to there? Jesus. What's some other trials, guys? Y'all know. What are some other cases that's going on? well, whatever it is. But these are things I'm going to be doing episodes in my series of power, money, power, and psychopaths. How these guys operate, how they're discovered, and then how all of this stuff is covered up. Okay, drugs, X, and rock and roll is pretty much what all of this about when you get money. Oh, there it is. Budget. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I knew it was something. My mind is on this human trafficking thing, and so I forgot all about it. Yes, 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 yes. We're going to talk about Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO who was unalived in Manhattan, in Midtown Manhattan, while going to a Hilton hotel by Luigi Mangione. So I will be in New York, and I will be covering that trial. Listen, you guys keep watching. Do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't liked it yet. So you've been on here for quite a while, so you must be liking something I'm saying. So do me a favor, hit that like button. I got a lot of content I want to bring you. My other series is really about the corporate and executive security profession. So I'm going to be bringing the profession to light for you guys like you've never seen it before, because most people, when they look at people like myself who do protection work or bodyguard work, you look at always somebody walking in front, beside, or behind somebody telling people to get out of the way. That's what most people see. And if you look at a training class, it's people rolling on the ground, shooting behind mailboxes and cars. There was even one video that I saw somebody fighting inside the car. And my question was, well, who the hell are you fighting in the car? Your wife? How does this person get in your car that you got to have a fight? Are you driving Uber? Now, if you're driving Uber, I think that's the skill that you need to learn. You need to learn how to fight inside of a car if you're driving Uber. Or if you got a domestic violence relationship and your wife or your husband beating you up, then maybe you need to know how to fight in a car. But if you're a protection person, what the hell are you doing fighting inside a car? How does this person get inside of your car is the question. And then somebody else told me, yeah, well, what do you do? Latif, one of my guys, I like Latif, but he went to some other training schools. He didn't go to ours. He got what do you call it, contaminated before he came to MVP. But he went to another school and he said, hey, let me ask you something. We were on the detail. He was standing outside the car. He said, what do you do if somebody come to your car and then they want to fight? Like, how you do? Because I went to the school and they taught me this. I said, if they come to my car, I'm in the car, right? He said, yeah. I said, the window up or window down? He said, window down. I said, oh, just wind the window up. That's easy. I ain't going to fight them. It's because they taught him all this. This is how you fight a person, right? Or I just simply drive off and run his ass over, plain and simple. Like some of these things that they teach you in these schools that have you thinking, you need to be Rambo or G.I. Joe or Yippee-Ki-Yay, what was the name? Bruce Willis in Heat or whatever the name of the movie was. You don't need to do that. When you're working in the protection industry, this is your biggest weapon right here. This is a thinking man's game. So I'm going to teach you guys what people like myself and B. Adams, who's down here making comments, who are making comments in the comment section. I teach you what the things that we do when we actually go out here and we protect the world's elite. So we protect Fortune 500 executives, and I've never seen anything that goes on with our clients like they say go on in some of the other stuff. Fortune 500 executives, some of the top politicians in the world, people from the president's cabinet, people from the U.S. military, A-list celebrities, but they got to be way, way up there A-list celebrities, like the ones that say, hey, let's go to the award show, go after the award show, go to dinner, have a couple of red wines, get a little tipsy, and then say, hey, okay, take me home or take me back to my hotel. Those are the kind of people that we deal with. Rumi said, do you have any openings for this position? Rumi, so I get people who try to apply to my company all of the time. I say we don't have an application process. We have a recruiting process, and we recruit people specifically and explicitly from our classes. Explicitly, you can't say that. Specifically, specifically from our training classes, because Everybody that goes to a class, or everybody from law enforcement, a lot of law enforcement people believe that because they were a police officer, or they are a police officer, that they can be a protection agent, right? When you went to, if you're in the law enforcement and you're watching this, when you went to the police academy, they didn't teach you how to protect people. They taught you how to enforce crime. They didn't teach you how to protect or move with the protection team, how to do risk assessments, and all the things that we do to protect our principles. So yeah, you get most people again think that the firearm qualifies you to be a protection agent. I'm going to drop these stats on you, and I hate to burst some of your bubble, but 98% of the executive protection or bodyguard details are unarmed. And so, one, again, this is your next best weapon, right? And then if you did happen to get in a shootout with somebody, if you did happen to get into a shootout, not to all, but the majority of all shootouts happening within 3 to 7 feet. You hear what I'm saying? 3 to 7 feet. So barely enough to get your firearm out to the hip position and get off a couple of rounds to get this person off of you. And because that's the case, and you can go back through my posts or my channel and look at the videos that I post and that I review. All of those things are close. Everything that's happening is close quarters. So outside of your brain, the next thing you're gonna need to know how to do is defend yourself in close space. And taking classes like Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, things like that. Any type of martial arts, Krav Maga, take Krav Maga, Kenjutsu, Muay Thai. I just got into Muay Thai last week, and I have a torn ACL, so my knee popped out on the very first day that I was doing Muay Thai. But I stayed in the fight, and after the Muay Thai class was over, I went right over to the next room, in the same dojo, and I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I primarily do Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. So I wanted to take another craft. So I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I thugged it out, and then I missed the last week of the dojo. So I'm going back to the dojo. But if you're going to be doing this protection work, you're going to need to take a training class. I don't know how to put stuff in here, but my website is on the top of my channel, www.trust, I as in Ida, N as in Nancy, what is it? M as in Mary, V as in Victor, P as in Paul.com. That's www.trustnmvp.com. Go to the training link, look up the classes. I just released the fall 2025 classes and the 2026 classes. So if you're interested in becoming an executive protection agent, working with high-profile clients, I would recommend that you do that as soon as possible. I'm going to extend, since I just released the class, I was supposed to last week offer a 50% promo code. I've been busy. I didn't get a chance to to offer the promo code. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to have that promo code put on the website until the end of July. I will give people till the end of July. If you register before the end of July for any class from the fall of 2025 to the winter of 2026, as long as you register before the end of July, you will get a 50% promo off of that class. And I can tell you right now that I have the fastest growing executive protection school in the world. There's nothing that comes close. We had classes this year already in DC and New York. We're coming back again in DC again for a second time. Normally we don't do 2 classes in DC. And then we'll be in Miami in October. So DC end of September, October, Miami the beginning of December, I believe. November, end of November, beginning of December. I don't have the website in front of me right now. But those are those classes, and then we're coming back again in 2026 with executive protection classes in Vegas first, DC, New York again, Dallas, and Toronto for you guys watching from Canada. Vancouver. That will be in Miami in November. Thank you, Bungie. Toronto, thank you, Bungie. And so you can register for any of those classes before the end of July. Register with the promo code. It's MVP50. I'm going to post it on the website tomorrow morning. As long as you register before the end of July, you can get 50% off the class. And if you're a law enforcement officer, current law enforcement officer, you guys will always get 50% off the class because I am a retired law enforcement officer, and this is my way to give back to the LEOs that serve our country. And I got another question or comment here. And if you guys still on, you're still watching, do me a favor, hit that like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Okay, Bunch said, my military and law enforcement didn't prepare me for working as an executive protection agent. Attending an EP course prepared me for the EP world. Absolutely. And Bungie right now is one of the best, to me, one of the best operators in the country. When they come from my school, and when Rumi asked me, yes, I recruit specifically from my classes. You can't go to my website and apply for anything. I recruit specifically from my classes. And I'm looking for, if we got a class of 20, maybe the top 10%. 10% would be 2. So I'll do you guys a favor. I'll say the top 20%, which would be 4, actually are people that we would take to the next level. And I don't say that in a bad way. When you come, you got to be always prepared. You got to be always prepared. And I'm going to talk to you guys about professionalism in the executive protection industry. When you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, not YouTube because it's not really much back and forth on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you, TikTok, and when you're encountering people and you're looking to break into a profession, remember the people you want just may be the people who give you an opportunity. And you need to approach like you want to do business and not be somebody's friend. It's like, dating a girl and say, hey, B, come here, Hey, B, come here, what's up with you, right? That kind of thing. That girl ain't going to give you the time of day. So it's the same thing here when you're dealing with professionals. Treat them as professionals, Mr., ma'am, sir, Mrs. That way they can see you and see that you're serious about business and that you're not trying to be somebody's friend. I hear Rumi, where'd you take your training at, Room Suki? Because that's the question, because a lot of people say they did EP, close protection out of U.S. and he said outside of U.S. So he did the protection, but where did you take a class? And if you don't answer this question the right way, I'm gonna get on your backside, my man, because here's the problem. People say I did this and I got years of experience. My mom and dad been married almost 50 years. Let me tell you this. My mom and dad been married over 50 years, so they got 50 years of experience. They sleep in 2 separate rooms and argue every day. They don't even like each other. So just because you got experience don't mean that you're good at it. Israel, Rumi, okay. Did you train with the Mossad or the Shin Bet, or who did you train with? Because I got a lot of friends from Israel, and I actually take care of Benjamin Netanyahu when he comes to the United States. And I work with the Shin Bet and his security detail when they come here. Not only have I worked with Netanyahu, I also work with other prime ministers and even some of the head of intelligence for the Israeli forces. So, if you train with Israeli people, that's one thing. If you work with Israeli people, that's another thing. So, and the training is important. The people who are great at the top of their game at anything, those people are great for a reason, because no matter how great they think they are, they still know that there's another level, and they still invest the time and energy to get the knowledge, the acquired knowledge. Former Shin Bet and okay, good, that's good. Yeah, the best the time and the energy to get better at what they do. So what I found out is people who say that they've trained with other people. And send me your Rum Suki, if you're on LinkedIn, find me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is also in my YouTube my YouTube header or my YouTube profile. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn that way, or you can just type in my name, Melvin, Key, Melvin Key, and connect with me that way. And I can check out your resume. Feel free to send me your resume there and I'll check it out. And then last thing but not least, Bungie says, your character is everything. The way you talk, handle yourself will make you or break you when it comes to this job. And this, guys, listen, you guys watching on here, it's like 34 people still left on here. What Bungie is dropping on you, this is free game 101. This is not even a conversation. We had a dynamic conversation on, what was it, Instagram the other day? About this. Yeah, and I'm going to post that. I'm going to repost that Instagram video on my YouTube channel. I just need to chop it up into shorts and like shorter versions, take out the parts that kind of not directed at what we're talking about. But make sure you guys jump on, make sure that you check that out, because we have a talk about building your way into this industry, becoming the constant professional to market yourself and to conduct yourself so that people will want to hire you and work with you in the long run. So this is a whole thing. Don't think that this thing is about ego and muscles, because we can care less about your muscles. I got a couple of people who are probably like 5'6", and it's right now 26 people on this live left. I got one guy that's 5'6" that will beat everybody up on this live at one time, just about. And he's probably 5'6" and 158 pounds of that. And then I have another friend who's about 5'7", 5'8". He's 67 years old, and I've seen him beat up 30 people a couple of weeks ago in our executive protection class. 67 years old. Every person in the dojo except for me, he beat up. And you know why he didn't beat me up? Because I didn't fight him. That's the truth. I was the instructor. I was watching. Yeah, get him. But 67 years old. He beat people up that was 4 times younger than him, in their 20s, 18, 19, 30. He beat every age group he beat up, and he let them exhaust themselves. I seen a true master at his craft. He let them try to muscle through him and, throw him around and all this stuff. And then after they were finished, he just went to work on them. And went to work undefeated for about 30 people in the dojo nonstop. The man didn't even take a drink of water. So don't believe that size, muscle, and all of that stuff, it makes you a good protection agent. Character, as Bungie said, is everything. The way you talk and handle yourself will make you or break you when it comes to a job. Also, getting the certifications and the skills necessary for people to recognize you, who you are, and your investment in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody will. When I started my security company with that ironing board and laptop, that was the thing that I said to myself that catapulted me to being one of the, if not the top Black African American man, or whatever you want to say, in the private industry in the executive protection business. And that's the truth. And that's not no fabrication. You can go look that up on your own. There's nobody can say they've done the things that I've done in this industry or with the people that I've done it with. And I'm still growing in the industry, and I'm not, I am not, what do you call the word? I'm not a person who are not going to invest in myself. I still go to classes. I still learn. I still learn every day. I feel that's important to my growth. And my plan is to top out in 18 to 24 months and to turn this over to the young man, Bungie Adams, down here, and to turn it over to the other one of the other young men I talked to today, Kalante Payne, and people like Jaquel Moore, Chris Grant, people who have come to my class. We got some sharp guys, Vince, Justin Phillips, Vincent Garcia. I got so many people who are under my umbrella that is insane. And my goal is to never die. I hope I live to 100. As long as the world is cool, I hope I live to 100. But I will never die, especially when it comes to this industry, because I put my fingerprints on everybody that I can who has the character, wherewithal, intent, vision, and desire to move ahead, not by word of mouth, but by show of actions. All right, guys, this has been a pleasure. I did not intend to be on here that long. For you guys who just joined, the reason why I'm still on here is because I drank this goat fuel at 9 o'clock this morning. I normally drink coffee. I drink dark coffee. But and Candace, oh my God. Candace Adams, Candace, oh my God. Don't tell me. Candace Gibson, one of the sharpest female agents in this business on the private side and government side. She works for the South Carolina State Capitol, one of the sergeant at arms at the United States Capitol. She moves the senators, the governors, and everybody that comes through that Capitol, the protection detail for those people. She's at the very, very, very top of her game. And I trained her. And when she was working with the state Capitol before she came to me. And then after she came to me, she took those skills and now she runs circles around everybody at that state capitol. And I'm not tooting my own horn as a person. I'm just saying what we do as a security business here, and the regimen and structure that we teach people about the executive protection games. If they have the right stuff, they start and they take off like a rocket and they never come back. And now, if you guys, again, I'm not bragging on myself. If you follow my Instagram, go watch I think it's a couple of days ago. Watch one of the lives from a couple of days ago. It was the first live I did, not one of the last ones, but one of the first lives I did in the last couple of days. Watch that live, and I'm going to repost it here. I don't have to say nothing about myself. I don't have to say nothing about MVP. The people on that live are going to tell you. There are people right now who are traveling all over the world. And all they did was, one guy, well, I'll just tell you this. He said, I was working at Amazon, delivering packages. He said, I took my last $2,000. And he said his life, he said he didn't want that for his life. He said, I took my last $2,000 and I paid to come to Mr. Key's class. They call me Mr. Key. And he said, my life has been changed ever since. And this guy, I told him that I was jealous of him. This dude has been all over the world. He came to the class in 2023. He started working a month later with one of my colleagues, one of my other proteges. And then 2 months after that, I called him, and he hasn't stopped traveling yet. And this man has never been on a plane before he actually came to my class. And now he's international. I told him I'm jealous. I said, I've never been in the middle of the Congo riding the elephant naked, But this is what he's doing. He's in Paris. He's in Congo. He's been so many places, Brazil, South Africa, Johannesburg, And if I could have paid like Bungie the same thing. Bungie will tell you guys that Bungie said I was about to quit. He said he was about to throw the towel in, and that's going to be another conversation, Bungie. So don't chime in yet. But Bungie can tell you I was about to quit. I was about to give it all up. And then he reached into his pocket, paid for that class, and his life changed. And it's going to continually change because as long as I'm in his life, as long as I'm around, I'm going to push him to elevate even further than he is. And in my absence, some of these guys that I named, I can come home and go to sleep and never even have to worry about if I could turn my ring off and never have to worry about the detail. It could be 2 weeks, 2 months. I never have to ever worry about them. I tell them, don't call me. Don't only call me if there's something wrong, because they call me all the time and give me the updates. I don't need it. I trust you, right? So, and Bungie just said right there, I'm living the dream. So I love you, Bungie. Thank you, man, for being such a standout guy. Thank you for always being my advocate and, my champion, my cheerleader on the side. It means the world to me. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to impact your life like that. And I want you to know, if I haven't told you, that you have impacted my life as well. And you're a pleasant person to be around. And you always keep me happy and keep my spirits high. So I love you, man. I appreciate it. And now back to this, guy. So I drank this stuff at 9 o'clock this morning. Of course, this is empty. It's been sitting here in my studio all day long, the can. This is one that I just got in. They sent this in. It's pineapple cream soda. This is an energy drink by NFL Hall of Famer Jerry Rice. He created this energy drink out of all natural ingredients. It has cordyceps mushrooms, which is an all natural ingredient, all natural caffeine, 0 sugars, and the best part about it, it has 0 crash. And it's called Goat Fuel. Goat Fuel. And I thought it was ironic. See my shirt? Y'all see my logo for my brand, for my channels, Goat Fuel. And this actually keeps me going. And I wouldn't promote anything if I didn't believe in it. If you drink coffee, you could probably still drink coffee, but if you drink this, you wouldn't need any more coffee. And once you drink this, Red Bull is going to go out of the window. If you drink this, Monster Energy will be gone. I kind of like Celsius. But I don't like the taste of Celsius. Celsius has a bad aftertaste. But we're not talking about Celsius. We're talking about Goat Fuel. And so check it out. They just got into 1,000 7-Eleven stores. They're mostly on the West Coast. We're trying to get them over here on the East Coast. But check them out. And if you can't find them in the store, they have them on Amazon. After this video, I'll post the link to Amazon in the description of this video. Yeah, see, I see that Bungie say, "Love me too. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to change my life." All right, guys, this has been great. Bunch, I don't know if you had to work, but I got to go to sleep. I'm going to grab me something to eat, and I'll be back. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow. Who knows? But I definitely will be on a couple of times a week to give you guys these lives. But turn on your do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Remember to watch my next video because I'll be back. Peace.